Unseen Lives, inklusive Lebenswelten, Geschichten, Stimmen, Perspektiven. Ein Jahr Haemodialyse von Noël Labridy. Das folgende Hörstück ist in Englisch.
One Year Haemodialysis by Noël Labridy. I almost died today. What have you been up to? Part 1. I was 7 years old when I got diagnosed with chronic kidney disease, CKD. Constant visits to various hospitals where they did painful, scary examinations. It was 1987. CKD in children wasn't quite researched yet, so they treated me like a guinea pig. Doctors told my mum in front of me, she's probably not going to make it to puberty, which made me develop a kind of, I'm going to show all of you, attitude, not allowing my illness to run the show, so to speak, and kicking it off stage. Mid-September 2021, my kidneys failed completely. End-stage chronic kidney disease, ECKD. Dependency on dialysis, they wrote in the diagnosis report. Dependency. Reading the word, it hit me hard. But after all, it is what it is. Without dialysis, I would die. And thus, it feels like I've become a bystander of my life, watching what my illness has got to offer to me next. When you're sick, you might start to observe yourself closer. The physical I becomes your means to survive. I wish not to have gotten more egoistic, that I have maintained constant awareness of my surroundings, and to still be able to be there for everyone around me, even though I must watch myself so attentively. The 9th to the 14th of September 2021. Shortly before starting dialysis, walking became harder and being up for long. Too weak, too many toxins had accumulated in my bones and muscles. Too much water retention in my legs and feet. My cognition suffered as well. I couldn't bear artificial light or loud noises. I couldn't follow people talking unless they spoke slowly and one after another. The dizziness and the feeling of having to faint with extremities and lips going numb during giving classes, meetings or seminars had gotten worse. I still tried to hide it, and afterwards I was exhausted. I remember my friends being at my place. They were chatting and I couldn't follow them at all anymore. I was lying on my couch, barely able to move. We decided to go to the hospital. I was scared and had this huge feeling of refusal. They sent me back home. I was happy about it. The 16th to the 30th of September 2021. I had taken the subway to my doctor and arrived there dizzy, out of breath and hardly able to walk. I remember how gently he looked at me and asked if I wanted him to call a transport to get me straight to hospital. The following morning, they put in the catheter and dialysis started. 2 tubes that go to the 2 upper chambers of your heart. 1 artery, 1 vein. They come out by the shoulder or neck so they can be connected to the machine. When they began dialysis on the 17th of September, I was grateful. I could feel my body relaxing. The strength in my legs slowly came back. My brain didn't feel like a vacuum sealed anymore. But I was just floating along, immersed in the circumstances of what was happening to me, not really present. I was lucky my friend was staying with me at the time. She was supporting me emotionally and practically, helping me get from A to B, making food when I was too weak, and looking after my cat, Damai, when I was in hospital. She even got cross-checked whether she'd be a transplant fit. Relationships shift when you're severely ill. You're more reliant on support. And the difference to the reliance before is that you know if you don't get the support, you're likely not able to handle whatever task is ahead of you. What is dependency? What does it do to you? There are all kinds of dependencies, and I can only speak for myself. In a positive way, it can also mean to be aware of the impact you have on others and vice versa, and to act accordingly with kindness. Dependency on a machine is something else. Early morning, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, getting ready for my appointment with my body's extension. Tandy, the loved one I named my machine. I'm still trying to comprehend that I would die within a couple of days if I don't do my treatment, and that a part of my body happens outside of itself. It's not just that. You also depend on people in charge of the machine, that they work properly with regards to the machine and you. You have to give up control. Whether we actually ever truly have control is another question on its own, but a lot of us definitely like to think that we do. And suddenly, you don't anymore. Instead, there's a whole team of people telling you how to live your life. They seem to know better than you what's good for you. You ought to put your trust in them. With ECKD, your system crashes easily. You experience lows you haven't experienced before, and you need help with that. You need to know that you can rely on that medical team that works long hours to keep you alive. To give up control and to pass it to people you actually don't know is a tough process. This is my life now. 4th of October, 2021. I ask myself again and again whether I still know myself. I have to rediscover myself. The 15th of November, 2021. With dialysis, unpredictability becomes your daily routine. 16th of December, 2021. 5 to 10 million people worldwide need this treatment, but only about 2 million have access to this life-saving medical procedure. I'm one of those. When I lie there, and 4 hours is a long time to reflect on stuff, unless you're feeling too weak or brain foggy, I reflect on me still being here, the privilege of being able to practice feeling at ease. The upholding of this inequality in the distribution of access to medical care is mass murder. Why are the people upholding this not being held responsible? Proper healthcare is not a luxury. It's a basic need and a basic right. Governments around the world should do everything to make this a reality. 4th of February, 2022. In January, I got the dialysis entry on the arm put in, the fistula. Today they tried to use the fistula for the first time. For a few minutes, everything was fine, when my body suddenly shut down. Alarm on the dialysis went off. Blood pressure dropped to 80/40, cold sweats, dizziness, nausea. It lasted for about 10 minutes. I wanted to move but couldn't. I'm connected to tubes. I wanted to leave my body, run and rest at the same time. My eyes open. I see the worry in the medical team's faces. Don't close your eyes. Stay with us. Can you say something? I can't. My eyes are so heavy. Is that it? Keep your eyes open. They look after me well. When I'm stable, they connect the dialysis through the catheter again. I'm exhausted and spend the 4 hours mostly dozing off. Then you're back home, and you continue with your day. Someone's alarm goes off regularly. It's pretty hectic every time. Don't close your eyes. Can you hear us? Keep your eyes open. Get oxygen quickly. Health workers running to the patient's side. And if it gets really serious, they activate the special alarm. The sirens sound loud, red lights flashing. Then one of the doctors comes rushing from wherever they are. 9th of February, 2022. Fistula not working. My right arm is heavily bruised, swollen and very painful. 16th of February, 2022. After a session, I often feel exhausted. It's quite difficult to concentrate. Words slip my mind, and listening or talking for long is very tiring. But I still try to get myself to do whatever is needed on that day. And I almost always feel really lonely and melancholic after a dialysis session. I cry at the smallest things, constructing stories of mistrust, deception, and betrayal around me in my mind. It can get quite scary, and I need to stop myself from entertaining these trains of thought. They are very unlike me. I try to explain it with the fact that even though I get my blood back, a part of me leaves me. Hence I feel somewhat emptied out afterwards. The 26th of February, 2022. Ever since the pandemic, I've rather been shut away. In the beginning, like most people, due to curfews, lockdowns, and most places being closed. But soon I realized that every time restrictions were lifted and people became more relaxed, it actually meant more isolation and less chances to partake in social activities for vulnerable people. The walk to bring Demai back inside is my chance to get some sort of exercise. Sometimes neighbors complain, and I get scared that I can't let him out anymore and lose that push to make me go for a walk. The 16th of March 2022. One needle in the arm is working. The 2nd of April 2022. Yesterday I felt like before dialysis. Even forgot I was on it in between. Usually it's always at the back of my mind, and I constantly feel pressure in the area where the catheter is. I ran for the bus for maybe 10 seconds and cheered myself on when I made it without feeling dizzy or nauseous. At night, I dreamt I was running again for a long time. I felt so light and happy. Still can't take the subway by myself. The noises, the long standing or sitting is too much to handle. The 7th of April, 2022. Ultrasound. My fistula just doesn't work. They need to make a new one. Operation beginning of May. I'm distraught. The 12th of April, 2022. Going to visit my family in France over the Easter holidays. Nervous, but happy. Hope all goes well during the travels. FFP3. 16th of April 2022. I am so exhausted. 25th of April 2022. Good news at the end of this month. Second opinion on the fistula. The doctor spotted a so-called stenosis, narrowing of the vessel in one area. They're going to operate that instead of making a whole new one. I'm so relieved. Thank you. The 6th of May, 2022. Emergency, emergency! Put on the lights, otherwise he's going to die on us. No one died. But most of us, the other patients, stopped whatever we were doing. Turning our heads towards the commotion, chairs pushed up to see what's going on, worry in our eyes. The medical staff is on high alert. The patient we're all worried about is in isolation, either corona or MRSA, the multi-resistant hospital bacteria. For the staff, that means having to put on protective gear. It also means that it takes a bit longer before getting to the patient. They have to stay safe themselves and keep the rest of the patients safe. The team is understaffed. I wonder about the heap of responsibility and the patient's dependency to the machine. What happens if a fire breaks out? What happens if the bomb alarm goes off in a place of conflict or war? Why do we do the things we do to each other? We intentionally cause harm to one another. We declare a person or a group of persons the scapegoat for our what? Until we render them to the point of worthlessness that we might feel happy when they suffer. Or we at least accept it and come up with excuses why we don't feel and act on empathy. The 9th of May, 2022. Rough to think your blood gets transported out of your body. The 20th of May, 2022. After dialysis, melancholia is really something. The 26th of May, 2022. Making baby steps in getting out of isolation. Quite exhausting. 3 days in hospital next week. Going to get examined from head to toe to find out if I'm applicable for transplantation. I'm really nervous, more so than I expected. The fistula seems to be good. They'll start using it in mid-June. The 2nd of June, 2022. You become somewhat transparent when you're disabled or sick. Certain decisions you make for your life or steps you'd like to take become the business of people that don't have anything to do with you. But you rely on this social system you are part of. The dependency between the state and a person becomes really obvious, revealing power relations. Body of pain, bruises, holes and cuts. The 20th of June 2022. It's interesting when you realize you're happy about 2 needles working on the dialysis, or that you drove your bike for 20 minutes, that you could take a subway for 45 minutes and still manage to arrive at your goal not totally exhausted. 22nd to 30th of June 2022. Ovarian cyst burst. It watered and bled into my tummy. Intense pain. Emergency room at night. Opioids finally eased the pain. Next morning, operation. Went well. Left the hospital after a few days, feeling better. 2 days later, the same pain again. Rushed to the hospital. After bleeding. They feared that they would have to operate again to stop it. Luckily, the bleeding stopped by itself, but the fluids collected in the tummy. And due to a lack of ability to absorb them, my tummy was bloated, tense, painful, and I couldn't walk properly. Plus, I had lost so much blood. I can't remember ever being that tired. Blood count is better, and I feel more energetic. The tummy is still bloated, but slowly getting less. We're taking out quite a bit of water during dialysis. It helps with the tummy, but is counterproductive when it comes to the kidneys doing their little bit of work left in them. I'm hoping we can stop drawing that much water soonish before I stop producing urine altogether. Please. 2nd of July 2022. We are 1 person down in the team. I know it's part of this life-death circle, but still there's an empty spot. Quite literally before it gets filled with someone else. And the kind of bond, or so it is for me, when you lie there together thrice a week. We used to wave at each other in passing every time. And when we met by the elevator, we wished each other a good work day. I'm wishing them a light and easy travel. On the 7th of the 7th month, my status got changed to T, transplantable. I wasn't sure how that would make me feel. But I guess I'm very happy and very grateful. The 12th of July, 2022. Catheter out. 2 days later, back in the emergency room. The wound doesn't stop bleeding. Blood pressure through the roof, 200 over 120. It took the whole night to get the wound to stop bleeding and the blood pressure to go down to about 160 over 100. Arrived at 10 p.m.ish and left around 6 a.m. Part 2. I almost died today. What have you been up to? Ever since the cyst OP, I had complained about a bubbly sensation in my throat. Sometimes it was more, sometimes less. And the water in my legs had gotten worse. My face was swelling up too. I had asked to change the blood pressure meds. One of them was causing odemia. They swapped meds, tried this and that. Saturday, the 16th of July, 2022. My cousin and her family arrived on Friday to stay for a couple of days. But the next day, I had to call the fire department to take me to hospital again. Blood pressure was about 220 over 120. They rushed with the alarm lights on. Outside of me, everything was happening behind a vial, muffled and distant. While inside me, and physically, everything was painfully close. At the ER, they told me to inhale with salt from my throat to loosen up the slime, and I was wearing an oxygen mask most of the time. It took hours again before they had managed to lower the blood pressure. They first gave me an infusion. That didn't do much. So they gave me another pill on top. Suddenly, I got cold sweats and felt my body drifting off. Several caretakers passed by, ignoring my pleas to help me. Finally, when they realized I was falling off the bed, someone stopped. They quickly changed the infusion to boost the pressure. Sunday, the 17th of July. My family visited, but hadn't seen any doctor. Still wearing an oxygen mask, blood pressure still too high. Monday morning, the 18th of July. Coughed all night. Dialysis planned for noon. Still no doctor. Medical staff not allowed to do anything until then. The coughing got really bad. One cough out, the next in line. Hit the alarm. Somehow walked over to the door to wait for the caretaker and make one stay with me. I couldn't breathe anymore. Doctor came rushing. They gave me another mask to breathe. Tiny breaths. I can't breathe with the mask on, even less without it. I don't want to die. I can still pick up snippets of their conversation, some of their instructions. Intensive care, quick, morphine. Try to breathe in. The veil thickened, especially with the morphine kicking in. I must have arrived at intensive care, different mask. I want to take it down. You'll feel pressure. That's to push down the water. Keep breathing calmly. I can't breathe. You'll get used to it. Breathe. Well done. I had come to, throwing up. When I calmed down, I realized all these tubes and needles inside me. Monitors beeping. They had also connected the dialysis machine. Water had collected in my lungs. Pulmonary edema, causing my blood pressure to shoot up, causing my body to swell up, wounds to not stop bleeding. The explanation for the incidents of the past weeks. The staff at intensive care is very caring. I feel safe. What a good feeling. Tuesday the 19th to Friday the 22nd of July. Dialysis every day. They wanted to avoid having to puncture the lungs, so they drew out 1.5 to 2 liters every session. The food is horrible, so I'm hardly eating. I'm weak and exhausted, sleeping most of the time. Wednesday, early evening, my family had to leave. Thursday, I'm very dried out and had lost about 4 to 5 kg, the water that I had been collecting. I was down to 35 kg, but the edema was still prominent, and they wouldn't allow me to leave. That night, everything that had happened collapsed on me. I couldn't hold back my tears. I cried quietly so as not to wake up or disturb my bed neighbors. My head was racing. Self-doubt, fear, and exhaustion overwhelmed me. Friday, another scan. The edema had finally gone down. I was ready to go home. The 23rd to the 24th of July, 2022. It was like my body went home, but inside I wasn't present. I was falling very, very deep. What had just happened? Sunday, hibernation. I didn't die. I'm still here. Here? What does it mean? A switch had turned and had changed me inside and out. Nothing made sense, or everything made sense, but not like I had always thought it did. It's hard to explain what happens inside you when you're aware of being close to dying, unsure which way it's going to go, struggling to breathe, feeling the breath becoming flatter and flatter, no air going in, no air coming out, fighting for your life. 25th of July, 2022. You can't take a break from dialysis. So despite my hibernation, I still have to go 3 times a week, conversing with the staff there, recapping what happened and making sense. Making sense. Making sense. No one explains how it could have gotten that far. Remorse from some doctors. Part 3. August 2022. They drew so much water, I essentially stopped producing urine. This means I'm only allowed about 500 milliliters of liquid intake per day. Anything else will build up too much in the body and risk the accumulation of liquid. Lung edema is quite common in dialysis patients. But no one had ever checked my lungs, though I had mentioned that bubbly sensation. There's a lot you see when you're in hospital. Other people's fates, their fights, their desperation, hope, and love. A mother caring for her adult son. She tells him things about people they know. He replies to her with, "Yeah." That's all he can still say. He can only lie on his back, but still move his extremities a little bit by himself. The mother is with him for every dialysis session. She holds his hand or cleans him when he dirties his diaper. I don't know what the underlying cause of his condition is. The mother and I exchange about the incompetence of the hospital's medical staff, the doctors, not the caretakers. None of them really speaks or listens to you. Then a woman. She too can't speak. To draw attention to herself, she grumbles. They bring her to dialysis on a stretcher. It takes 2 or 3 people to lift her out of the stretcher onto the hospital bed. Once settled well, they put on her headphones, and she listens to something on her audio device. All the caretakers know her. They are kind to her. A patient from Nigeria. He had just arrived here when his kidneys failed. No German. The staff doesn't speak English. He's distraught and seems disoriented. The machine causes him physical discomfort. I say that I understand, that it will get better over time. Ask the staff to adjust the machine, but you can't adjust the fact of having to fathom what the hell is happening to you when your kidneys suddenly fail you. He keeps on repeating that he needs to work so he can care for his family back home, that he needs to get out of hospital. The doctor comes. She speaks English. She explains to him that he'll need this machine from now on. No further explanations. He keeps on repeating, I need to work. It might be easier to get your visa because of your illness, the doctor replies. This was on my last day at the hospital. I often think back to him. All those individual fates hidden behind thick hospital walls. Where do all such experiences go after you make them? Where do they get stored? September 2022. Being on dialysis is escaping death every day. I monitor my nutritional intake very carefully. I'm in full-on survival mode. I don't want to experience something like this again. I don't want to die. I want to live. I want to fill my life with beautiful experiences.
Ein Jahr Haemodialyse von Noël Labridy. Gesprochen von Monique Smith. Coaching Svenja Gräfen. Musik Mr. Sakatumi. Konzept Kulturregen Berlin. Mehr Informationen unter www.kulturregen.org.